Let me ask you something. Have you ever stood in your garden, staring at a plant and thought, I have no idea what I'm doing wrong? Is it growing fine, or am I just watching it die? And then spend the next 20 minutes down a Google rabbit hole that left you more confused than when you started? Guess what? That is not a garden problem. That is a doing it alone problem. Today, I want to talk about why gardening gets so much easier and honestly, so much more enjoyable when you stop trying to figure it out all by yourself. Not because you're incapable, but because gardening was never designed to be a solo sport. Over the last few episodes, we've talked about why online gardening advice feels overwhelming and why random tips really don't work, and how confidence is built slowly, and how readiness isn't about knowing everything. All of that points to one simple truth: gardening is a skill that grows best with support. A lot of people believe that confident gardeners succeed because they don't need help, that they just know what to do. But that's not actually what's happening. Gardeners aren't confident because they are independent. They are confident because they've learned with support. They've asked the right questions and they've compared notes. They've heard someone say, oh, yeah, that's normal. And that changes everything. When you're doing your gardening alone, every decision carries more weight. You notice something and think, is this a problem? Should I fix it? Or am I making it worse? Without support, you are not just growing something, you are constantly interpreting, deciding, and second guessing. That is a lot of mental load on top of regular life. And that's why gardening can start feel harder than it needs to be. Here's something I want to say clearly. Struggling alone does not make you a better gardener. It just makes the learning curve steeper. Support doesn't remove learning, it gives structure to the learning. Instead of wondering whether this is normal, you get to hear, yes, this happens. Instead of chasing 10 fixes, you get help narrowing it down. That is not a shortcut, that is good learning. For most of history, gardening knowledge wasn't learned alone, it was shared between generations, among neighbors, within communities, within families. People learned by watching, asking, and doing together. Modern gardening advice, especially Pinterest, Instagram, TikTok, often strips away that context. You're left alone with information but no guidance. And information without guidance is exhausting. One of the biggest mindset shifts for beginners is realizing this. Confident gardeners, expert gardeners still ask for help. They don't see questions as weakness, they see them as efficiency. They know that asking early saves frustrations later. And that's part of why gardening feels calmer for them. There's also an important distinction here that I want to name. There's a difference between independence and isolation. Independence looks like understanding your garden, making informed decisions, trusting yourself. Isolation looks like feeling like you cannot ask anybody, assuming confusion means failure, carrying all the responsibility alone. Gardening thrives with independence, it struggles in isolation. Your support doesn't have to mean a big group, a constant interaction. It might look like one trusted guide, a small learning community, knowing where to turn when you're unsure, hearing reassurance at the right moment. What matters is that you're not holding everything by yourself. I also want to say this, especially if you've been hesitant to seek support. Wanting guidance doesn't mean you are giving up control. It means you're choosing to learn in a way that honors your time, energy, and mental space. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom. If gardening has ever felt lonely, frustrating, or heavier than you expected, please hear this. You are not doing it wrong, you're just trying to learn something really complex without the support. And once support is present, things start to feel lighter, more doable, more enjoyable, more human. This episode closes out our beginner foundation series. And if you have listened through these episodes feeling calmer, clearer, and more capable than when you started, that didn't happen by accident. You were given context, you were given permission, you were reminded that learning doesn't have to be lonely. Here is what I want you to walk away with today. Gardening isn't easier because plants become more predictable. It's easier because you are not doing it alone. You have context, you have community, you have someone to tell you, yes, that's normal, here's what to do. That changes everything. Wherever you are right now, curious, overwhelmed, excited, or just dipping your toes in, you belong here. And I'm so glad you found your way to this podcast. Now, if these last few episodes have been speaking to you, I have something exciting to share. The Vibrant Garden Experience is open for enrollment for the very first time. 6 weeks of building a real garden, calmly, step by step, with support, built right in Texas style. The link to join is in the show notes. I would love to see you there. Before you go, I have one small ask. It actually has nothing to do with algorithms or downloads. If this episode made you think of one person, a friend, a neighbor, a fellow parent, or someone who's always said, I want to grow a garden, I want to grow my own vegetables and fruits, I just don't know where to start, would you share this episode with them? This podcast grows almost entirely through word of mouth, and every share helps someone realize that gardening doesn't have to be complicated or overwhelming. It can be gentle, it can fit real life, it can start right where they are. And if you're listening and wondering what kind of gardener you are, or what your next best step actually is, I created a free quiz to help with that. It's called the Growsona Quiz, and it helps you figure out your gardening style, your biggest challenges, and what will actually work for your season of life. Whether you're a total beginner or just need clarity, you can take it at vibrantrainbowgardens.com/quiz. And I will send you personalized guidance right after. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for helping this little garden of a podcast grow. I'll see you in the next episode.